Time again to announce the first panel of the day. Wordsworth, What AI Brings to Literature. A quick introduction to our panelists. Sanjukta Dasgupta ma'am. Sanjukta Dasgupta has been closely associated with the world of literature as teacher, author, and voice of influence. She has been professor and former head department of English and former dean, Faculty of Arts, Calcutta University, and has published 27 books, which includes 9 books of poetry in English. She has been conferred the Governor's Scroll of Honor in 2024 and has received the WEI Kamala Das Poetry Award in 2020, the Ethos Literary Award in 2022, among others. She served as the jury member and chairperson of the Commonwealth Writers' Prize, United Kingdom. She was a convener of the English Language Board of Sahitya Academy, Ministry of Culture, as well as a member of Sahitya Academy's General Council from 2018 to 2022. She is currently a member of the Advisory Committee of the Gyanpith Award. She has been the recipient of the Fulbright Postdoctoral Fellowship. Welcome, Dr. Dasgupta. Our second panelist, Sunita Banerjee, an alumnus of Convent of Jesus and Mary, New Delhi, and St. Stephen's College, received her PhD in history from Jamia Millia Islamia. She is an educator and a practicing and qualified counselor. She has been associated with the field of education for several years and has also written textbooks for schools. Dr. Banerjee conducts workshops for teachers and students and has published 2 collections of short stories called Chowringhee Charms and Playhouse Park Street. Her third book is titled Script Your Life Your Way. Welcome, Dr. Banerjee. Shantanu Raychaudhuri is editor at Home Books, a film buff, film critic, writer, and poet. Books commissioned and edited by him have won the National Award for Best Book on Cinema twice and the inaugural MAMI, that stands for Mumbai Academy of Moving Images Award, for Best Writing on Cinema. In 2017, he was named Editor of the Year by the apex publishing body Publishing Next. He has contributed to a number of magazines and websites like the Daily Eye, Cinemazi, Film Companion, The Wire, Outlook, The Taj, and The Telegraph. He has authored 2 books, Whims, a book of poems, and Icons from Bollywood, published by Penguin Publishing. Shantanu Raychaudhuri. Joining this panel today is our voice of tomorrow, Nikhilesh Mukherjee. The 16-year-old from Lamont India for Boys ranked 6th nationwide in the ICSE exams, but his achievements go beyond academic excellence. Nikhilesh is a skilled classical guitarist, has won a Cleveland Classical Guitar Fellowship. He's also a passionate writer, quizzer, debater, and drama enthusiast. Can we please welcome our young panelist, Nikhilesh Mukherjee? And in conversation with our panelists today will be Ramona Sen. Ramona writes on food, humor, and family sagas. She has been an editor with HarperCollins India and a reporter with T2 The Telegraph. She is part of the founding team of All Cap Communications. Ramona, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kanya. I'm going to ask whether is it the best of times and the worst of times for writers these days? I'm going to start with a fun question. Which literary character do you think was probably a robot passing off as a human? I'm going to go first, and I think it's Jeeves, because he didn't have an expression. He always had the right answers, like he was programmed to give you the right answers, and sometimes he was also programmed to make Bertie fail when he had to fail. That's mine. Go.
I think Feluda doesn't have a love life. Is always correct about things. Perfectionist, can't go wrong, and has one dialogue that he keeps telling Dopshe, Boro Bhavna Hachche Dopshe. I think Feluda.
I think it's Professor Calculus from the Tintin comics, because getting him to understand what you're saying is like getting Siri or Google Home to understand the instructions you're giving them. They tend to hear the wrong thing.
I think it's Miss Lemon in Agatha Christie's book, where she is very programmed to be precise and very efficient, doesn't make a mistake, does all the right things. So I would say it is Miss Lemon, who I was such.
I will go back in time. I'm thinking of Don Quixote and Sancho Panza. And you know that John Quater was driving at the windmills, and Sancho Panza was there as a voice of the rational and the voice of the ground realities of life, which the squire didn't know. And of course, I was also thinking about a few more. Can I?
Yes, of course.
One with is Dr. Faustus and Mephistopheles. Another,
They're both, you think they were both robots?
one was the witch one, and there Mephistopheles is the one who seems to have made a mess of Faustus's life, because Mephistopheles was an incarnation of the devil, we could say. Victor Frankenstein and the monster. Another, where again there is a confusion. Who really becomes a robot in terms of the activities? And sort of problematizing it a little. And then, of course, Dr. Jim. And of course, yeah. Okay. So, but these are just my interventions.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was the same person, so are you saying one of them part?
One of
he was
them,
robotic?
yeah, which means that you can be a split personality. Yes, and one might be robotic and the other might be transcendent.
So you've written stories and you've also written poetry. So in what ways do you see technology shaping the future of storytelling? And how do you think we can achieve a balance between traditional storytelling, poetic expression, and all these emerging technologies?
At this moment, in 2024, on March 16, I can state with confidence that the creative imagination and emotional intelligence can defy algorithms and create eccentric, blasphemous, humorous, gothic, fantastic, utopian, or dystopian content that AI at this stage will not be able to match. We have traveled a phenomenal distance in terms of technological sophistication, but at this point, to anticipate that AI will beat Salman Rushdie, Amitabh Ghosh, Margaret Atwood, or Paul Finch in terms of blending memories, ideologies, philosophy by generating caveats and visions of a brave new world, that time I feel is yet to arrive. In creative writing, we can use ChatGPT as a service provider, as a user-friendly software. It can provide a brilliant draft. But as a creator of the story, the authors, the humans' intelligence and uniqueness will prevent her from copying and pasting. She will be dissatisfied. All stories emerge from a sense of reinvention, reinterpretation, and yet reiteration of certain universal value systems. Clones are a breakthrough. Remember the cute lamb Dolly? Yes? Human cloning was banned by the United Nations due to the prognosis of the undeterred experiments in cloning could unimaginably be destructive for the human civilization. Technologies will be enabling for storytellers, but AI-generated content cannot replace HR, human intelligence, at least in the near future. It's like repeating that cliched story and a monkey bounding up away on the typewriter keys and producing a Shakespearean sonnet. If I have time, can I also go for the silliest of anecdotes? And it is about the scientist turning up at his friend's home and saying, "Oh, I really can't tolerate this anymore. My work is getting interrupted. My wife is constantly fighting with the maid. And so I'm going to make a robot." He makes a robot to help the wife with all the domestic work. 3 or 4 weeks later, the scientist turns up at his friend's place and says, "Just don't know what's happening with my life." And the friend says, "Why? You've given your wife the robot. Is it about your work?" He says, "Yes, the robot and my wife are fighting so much. It is intolerable to stay at home." Yes?
So I think that just
it is-
proves that you can't change human nature.
Yeah, precisely. And therefore, I just want to come to refer to not only Frankenstein, who is also known as the modern Prometheus. This is Mary Shelley's 1816 novel that anticipated what we are trying to understand in terms of artificial intelligence, but a recent writer and a German writer, Karl Schroeder, who is a science fiction novelist and an essayist. And he said something very interesting that I want to share with you as I conclude. And he said that one of his latest novels, My Lady of Mazes, he says, in that there is a scene where AI, artificial intelligence, is going insane and sets up a kind of creativity bomb that fuels millions and millions of novels of exceptional quality. Literally too many for people to read in all their collective lifetimes. And so what happens to humans? Will they adapt and continue their own creation? And he says, imagine that this creative bomb were to explode today. Why would that prevent me from continuing to write new books? Why should I think me against a million books and not me and a million books? I consider creativity, whatever its origin, an addition and not a subtraction to our own existence.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dr. Banerjee?
Storytelling to me basically has three components. I mean, you have the creator, the author, you have the person who's the reader, and you have the content. So I'll speak from the author's point of view. I feel that there's a sense of ownership, a sense of, you invest yourself in your story. There's an organic bonding with your characters. Some of the authors become the characters, they live the characters. And there is that kind of personal investment when you're doing creative writing, energy in every sense of the term. And that is probably what gives each author's work that complete individual stamp. And we've created storyworks over the years. We've had written, folklore has been, of course, through word and then written. And I think that creating those individuals, you can have mimicked work. You have access to the best in the world, and it will pick up whatever there is from everywhere and give it to you on a platter. But it is still mimicked work. It is still not original in that sense of the term. So I, as an author, would feel very robbed of that sense of joy that I feel when I create something at the end of the, when I have my book published, or when I read something, or when I can share it with somebody. I feel that personal human aspect of it is lost. So Steve Jobs had said something very interesting. He had said that the most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation that is to come. So importance in storytelling also is not just creative writing, it's even in business. Because you can have all your data, you can have everything. How do you connect at the heart-to-heart level? How do you connect at the human level? And that is and has been through storytelling. So that is a very powerful aspect of storytelling. So, and that is the traditional aspect of storytelling. The other thing, of course, is the copyright issue, because that is a very dangerous area that we are treading. And I think, as far as I know, copyright law does not grant legal rights to AI-generated works, because it is not considered original works of the human authors. So, to that extent, you can have access to everything which is copyrighted and not give any acknowledgement to it. So ethically, as Dr. Mukherjee was saying, there is a question there that do I really, and I was talking to Shantanu because I'm not even sure if there is that kind of software, or maybe it is there, which can tell you whether a manuscript is AI generated or written by the person. There is something which is, there is that. So to that extent, hopefully then one will be able to sift that matter. So that is that. One more aspect I think is Jeanette Winterson, and she said that the real problem is not what AI is writing or will write or can write. The problem is who is writing the AI programs and designing the algorithms. who is setting the terms of the research and who is deciding what matters. So her take on it was it is basically men. So there was a certain aspect of feminism in it, that it is. So who's really doing that? Who's deciding for us? Who
Does
is
the
it?
robot have a gender?
Does the
I think
robot?
we're going to teach this
And
territory.
who are the people who are actually doing that? So there is a question that comes up there. So yes, when we talk in terms of balance, we would try and see what kind of writing is happening. We can use it where data is concerned. So you get all the data, you sift it, you allow the AI gives you very quick access. It does the data analysis, it does the, gives you all the numbers. But I think the human being can look beyond all that and do something much more, bring in the human element into it, humanize the data really. And that is what gives it the emotional portion. And I think that is it.
That's right. All right, Nikhilesh, you seem to be reading for your entire generation these days because you've read Marquez, you've read Kipling. Your reading Remains of the Day now.
Yeah.
So tell me, how do you think technological advancement fares against this timeless aspect of the classics that we brought up now?
So a few years ago, I read a quote by Pablo Picasso, which I disagreed with, but it went something like this: "Good artists borrow, and great artists steal." And I feel that is the entire premise on which artificial intelligence has been constructed. Because GPT, for example, in ChatGPT, it stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. The entire architecture of these technological advancements is essentially created by training them on reading these classics. In other words, ChatGPT's reading syllabus is much like what I would read in my English literature course or what someone in college would read in an English literature course, but at a much higher level, at a much comprehensive level. For example, ChatGPT would have read almost every single classic there is to read. Now, what you said, the timeless aspects of these classics. What makes a classic timeless, in my opinion? I think it is the ability of the author to go beyond the context in which he's writing or she's writing and look at her inner personal experience and be able to put out something that stands the test of time and it can be understood without the context in which it was written. So to do that, you really need to find that inner voice and find that level of introspection. Just reading a large variety of books does not grant you that, because as Murakami said, if you just read what everyone else is reading, you're going to think what everyone else is thinking. And that is the trap which ChatGPT falls into. Because it is so well read, because it is so well exposed, I feel that its ability to find something unique, something flawed, but something which has the ability to resonate and connect with its reader, I think that is compromised because of the very way in which it has been trained. That is my opinion on how these timeless classics fare against technological advancements. But if you look at the topic for today, it says artificial intelligence. Now, as the route of technological advancement is progressing, we will soon be hearing another word. Maybe 10 years from now, this conference will be on something called artificial consciousness. Now, consciousness is something that is lacked by artificial intelligence, but is possessed by the human artist. It is the ability to read what you have written and be able to judge it. When I write something, maybe I'm writing something at 1 a.m. in the night. I think it's very good because that's the mood I'm in that day. I wake up at 6. I wake up the next morning and think, oh my God, what have I written? But artificial intelligence does not have that ability, and that really hinders its ability to do something very good artistically. But as technology progresses, as it reaches that ability of consciousness and the ability to judge itself, I think that it will be able to produce works which are much better and can perhaps be a challenge for people to distinguish from these timeless classics. That's fine.
Well argued, I think.
Yeah, I don't want to be around 10 years later.
But since you've been around to see this change as an editor, how do you see the role of, what do you see the role of artificial intelligence is in the editorial process? And also, what are the pros and cons, benefits and challenges in traditional publishing?
I think I'm very skeptical as an editor, I think the person brings in certain things to the process, which I am increasingly told by non-editorial people, by people in sales who want. If I ask for an editor to be appointed today, I'm told, no, please, no, why do we need an editor? Just put this material through the process and to actually get stuff that is usable, passable. But that's not it. I still remember when I joined, when I came into editorial first in my early years, there was this manuscript I'd edited. I thought I'd done a very good job. And Ravi Singh, probably the finest editor we have in this country, he was the commissioning editor of the book. He looked at my edits and said, Shantanu, what have you done? And here I was thinking, and for the next next month, every Saturday, he used to sit me down, go over the manuscript, go over my edits, and make changes to the manuscript, which just sort of, I don't see AI doing that. Ravi Singh beats AI hollow every time. So I think, and that is what we are losing out on with this, because people in sales, people in marketing, people in production, even writers, they'll say, yeah, why do you need 2 months to publish this book? I've done this, maybe some of the writing is also, and it comes, the writing, we'll talk about that as we, it will do the edit. For example, I have a passage here by Toni Morrison, and I'm trying to give you an idea of what AI does on a passage like that. Toni Morrison's Jazz, and this is on the first page. Such a beautiful passage. When the woman, her name is Violet, went to the funeral to see the girl and to cut her dead face, they threw her down to the floor and out of the church. She ran through all that snow, and when she got back to her apartment, she took the birds from their cages and set them out the windows to freeze or fly, including the parrot that said, I love you. So it's a lovely passage. ChatGPT version of the edit. When Violet went to the funeral to cut the dead girl's face, they threw her out of the church. It was snowing outside. When she returned to the apartment, she freed a parrot that said, I love you. So you know what.
Very simplistic.
Yeah, so that's where.
Yeah, it's basic human wants.
Yeah, and ma'am mentioned Amitabh Ghosh or Salman Rushdie, AI not being able to create. But I know of experiments been done where you have just prompted the AI, please give me a novel in the style of Salman Rushdie and Amitabh Ghosh. And it has generated something that will probably pass and get published.
Dr. Dasgupta, you mentioned that AI can in fact be used as a tool, not the actual thing. So as an academic, your students are probably using AI for research and maybe writing. So have you been able to tell where AI ends and where the student begins? And what do you think are the pros and cons of using AI in academia?
That's a good question, really. More so, as reading, writing, research by average students is now becoming increasingly device dependent. A matter of uploading, downloading, copying, selecting, having a PDF library. And again, nobody is even reading the PDF. It doesn't matter if it's an e-book or a printed book, but the idea is to read. And here we are experiencing younger teachers who are now, who were once upon a time my students, but teach in various colleges and schools and universities throughout India. And there is one common complaint, that students have lost the eagerness and curiosity to read. and they are unable even to read the answers they are asked to memorize to write their exams. In the process, what is happening is with so much of heavy dependence on images, and all the youngsters, and also not also very young people out here, as we are young at heart, but otherwise. But our focus is so much on images nowadays. And images is, and all the students will say in one day we take about 1,000 selfies. Yes, all of us, me included. Yes. So and this sort of era of imageology, which Milan Kundera made this difference between the ideology and the era of imageology. And imageology is about a market-driven way of looking at lifestyle issues, as well as its slow penetration, but a steady penetration into academia and into our own creative intelligence, which is suffering as a result, because we are so overpowered by images. And really, if you think in terms of this is one little happy one-liner in my class day, when I used to take classes, I would say that really in terms of this heavy dependence on images, and you are becoming verbally challenged also. Each time you want to express yourself, you choose an emoji instead of verbally stating what you're feeling. In the process, you become verbally challenged because words will not come to you easily anymore because of that heavy dependence on smileys. So, and this is what I feel. And in terms of students, of course, ChatGPT is a great enabler. You can outsource your work, and you can also use that work to write your answers, write your creative piece or the critical dissertation that you are expected to write. With the NEP, there is so much of emphasis on writing dissertations even before you can spell that word correctly. And so what has really happened is a confusion of purpose. And who is suffering? The student. Because the student is being denied that process of learning, because it is not only about accumulation. Learning is about assimilation. And as my friend Rudrakshu said, that there is a divide between information and knowledge. And that Google is the god of today. And Google has all the answers. But does Google have all the right answers? And this consumption of information also is what is deterring students about thinking for themselves. Each one of us have a unique mind. Each one of us can create at least one story, and that is our own story. Nobody can infiltrate them. However, if we keep on denying and homogenizing and taking our inspiration from available data and then trying to put it together, I feel students, whether in exams or whether as young creative writers, all students have become poets nowadays. And so it's a great way to write poetry. But if you are choosing the easy way out there too, go for the haiku so that nobody can catch you on grammatical errors. Yes. So those are, I think, warnings, caveats, which you have to question yourself. You have to question yourself. Self-analysis is absolutely required in a narcissistic world.
I think that's lacking in what I come across in publishing. Authors keen to publish even before they have written something, they have the marketing plans ready. So I have had manuscripts come in where, I need to, I've written this and I see the material and immediately, because my son is 16, and I have been, since I have attended a few of these sessions now, and with him I do a few experiments. I told him, "Acha, it about the a subject just to find me 700 words," and he actually puts it into Chat GPT and gets 700 words. And the structure that comes out, and this manuscript comes to me, which is exactly following, and this is easier, I think, in non-fiction. That is what I've seen. Is so like what my son has developed for me in these essays. Then I go to the author, and I know this the author has used a ghostwriter. And so I call the ghostwriter, I know the ghostwriter that he's doing this for the writer, and I call the ghostwriter, "Boss, what is this?" And he said, "Yeah, and I've just used that GPT, 20,000 words I had to deliver in a week's time. I couldn't do that." So here's a writer who is using a ghostwriter who is using AI. So how publishing has evolved.
Layers, of course.
Yeah, how publishing has evolved. Of course, there are benefits, like we had a cover to deliver for a soft launch, and I was looking at a cover for a book that's going to come out. I was looking at a cover like that looked like the album of Saint Sgt. Pepper's band. I looked at that jackass thing on the cover to convey. And obviously the designer wasn't getting that needed time, and we didn't have time. We had to go to JLF. And the publisher just sends me, I've done this cover, use this. And it's Chat GPT. Now I get confused between UPI and GPT. So it's we generated that cover. That cover went on, and as far as I know, that the cover that, and increasingly, and this is something that's come from the head of Vani Prakashan, one of the biggest publishing houses, and she says that almost 50-60% of our covers are now generated by AI, because we simply don't have the bandwidth to either pay or or the time to devote to a cover. So you just imagine a cover. If you have seen the Salman Rushdie cover, Knife, the latest, or if you have seen Amitabh Ghosh's latest books covers, they're such works of art. And to imagine that AI is being used to generate covers on 60% of our books will turn out to be AI covers. That's sad.
Yes, this is taking a very depressing turn.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask
Yes,
one
yeah.
question. Suppose a person has very good ideas, who wants to write, and is an editor, but doesn't have the words to be able to put it together.
Don't try it.
And so I have somebody who came and asked me.
I have so much words. I don't write because I can't write. I won't use GPT to write. I read what others have written.
Okay. So this is one question that was put to me, so that's why I thought that I
Don't write.
So what you're saying is don't use ChatGPT to become the voice of your ideas.
Yes, it's sad. It's absolutely sad to be doing that. Last night, in preparation of Ramona putting me through the grill and all of that, I just decided to write a poem, and I said, and this is what came out, for separation is but a veil that the soul cannot pierce. It's a dance of shadows in the realm of the heart. Oh, to be as the poet sing, where love transcends the physical and unites in the divine, in the tapestry of life, we are but threads that weave together and apart in the grand design of existence. And though we may be distant, our hearts still beat as one, for love is a force unyielding in the vast expanse of the cosmos. Now, I would like to send this to some great poetry magazine, except that the prompt I gave was I need a poem on separation. In the form of the writing of Raike, Neruda, and Rumi.
Ouch.
And this is what comes up. So, and this is what I keep getting. I'm all as an editor, as the publisher commissioning editor, I keep getting poetry that is so good. All of a sudden, in the last 8 months, 10 months, I have just become very, very skeptical. They are so good that I reject them. Because like I'm not sure that they are coming out of authentic sources.
Dr. Banerjee, other than stories, you've also, I think your last book can be in the category of self-help. And have you used any form of artificial intelligence for research in your creative process? And if you haven't, would you consider it to help you with your research, compiling, streamlining?
No, I haven't ever used artificial intelligence to write for me. But yes, I mean, I look up the internet for information that is different, but no, never for writing for me. But out of curiosity, once I asked, in fact, the only time I've used ChatGPT was I said, write me something on friendship. And the story that I got was that there were two young boys, one who was very good at studies and one who was very good at sports. But there was an exam which had to be taken online, and which was to do with, which was academic in nature. So this boy, and it was online, so the boy who was good at studies, he said, don't worry, so I would just sit there and he took the exam and the boy got brilliant marks. So that was finally at the end of it, and it went on as to how great a friendship it was. So I just sat back and I thought that if this is what is being talked about in terms of ethics, in terms of who draws that line, who takes that step, where do we tell, how do we train AI in terms of values, in terms of maybe even cultural context, everything, we come with a whole sort of a background to us. And a lot of things are also very cultural specific, which I'm sure one can prompt AI. But this question came up to me in terms of ethics. So what is the message that they're trying to give across, And is that the message that is being there? So no, I have not used AI. But yes, if I were to write anything which required that kind of data, which I would be able to go through, have access to, assimilate, analyze, perhaps I would. That I perhaps would. But it would be just that. It wouldn't come into the creative aspect of my writing. Because even when you're doing a self-help book, if you are actually dipping into your life, into people you've met, their anecdotes, all that, how does that get expressed? So that's my take.
So, Nikhilesh, since you're also a debater, do you think you can argue for the idea that AI-generated literature can be considered genuine artistic expression because the panel is very lopsided?
I think because I'm the voice of tomorrow, I've also become the voice of artificial intelligence. But yeah, it would be interesting to argue that because genuine is a very important word. Now, we can all disagree about the quality of the artificial intelligence, which is decided by what the output that artificial intelligence gives. But if you're talking about genuine, we need to understand how it came to be. So I think there are many layers of authenticity. For example, some journalist who is in Ukraine reporting about the Russia-Ukraine war, and then some analyst sitting in a think tank in Delhi and writing about the Russia-Ukraine war, they have different levels of authenticity. But you cannot say that the analyst sitting in Delhi and writing about it, the journalist sitting in Delhi and writing about it is not authentic. So to have lived experience like a human of a situation, in my opinion, is not a prerequisite for the authenticity of a text. And I think that is one of the main arguments against the idea that AI-generated text should not be genuine, because AI has not experienced what it is writing about. I don't think that is true, because then all of science fiction would not be genuine, would not be authentic. A lot of literature is about writing what you have not experienced. And I think we need to break out of the mold and consider this new technology and how it has new ways of writing. For example, there is, Ms. Banerjee brought up the issue of copyright law, which is now a cornerstone of the literary world, because everything is based on the individual writing or the individual ownership of a piece of work. But if we look at the ancient traditions of literature, the Jataka tales, the Panchatantra, you cannot pin them to a certain author. They are essentially made by a lot of people working together. Even in the 20th century, you had something called found poetry or book spine poetry, where you are not creating the words, but you're using a library of the names of the books written in your library and making a collage of them to create a poetry. In art, there's so many artists are function on the art of collage. They have nothing in their collage is their own. But the way that they have taken these bits and pieces from everywhere and made it their own, that is art in itself. So I believe that just because it's a new form of literary expression, something that we are not used to, does not mean that it is not genuine. Another thing that I want to add, many people will say that whatever artificial intelligence is generating is not original. And that is where I have a problem with. Because let us look at some facts. Artificial intelligence is conditioned in the same way that humans are. Humans are also conditioned to social prejudices. Humans are also conditioned to historical facts or historical inaccuracies. Humans are conditioned in the same way that artificial intelligence is. Secondly, artificial intelligence is considered to be based on everything that it has read. But generally, if you look at someone who has read a lot of books, you will say that he's well read as a compliment. But when we apply the same word to artificial intelligence, because of our gut feeling that it is machine-like, that it is based on statistics and data and all these dirty words, which do not really go with things like genuine artistic expression, we think that it is not authentic. But in my opinion, artificial intelligence is very well read. It is more well read than any of us. When we say that a musician is well exposed, he has a good ear, an artificial intelligence music tool or listening tool has a better ear than any of us. When we talk about a translator, tools like Google Translate, which are based on artificial intelligence, can translate from any language to any language. So all of us are standing on the shoulders of giants. And I think that we should not be ashamed to say that artificial intelligence is. And that should not take away from the genuine aspect of artificial intelligence as a mode of intellectual or artistic expression.
Well done.
Yeah, I think we should start publishing houses should start imprints which are devoted to AI.
AI. So the voice of tomorrow has changed the course of publishing already.
I think if that is the rationale we apply, but then it has to say, authors can't use AI and say this is their.
No, but I think legally they're supposed to credit it.
Yeah, I agree.
They're
But
supposed to, but
They're supposed to, but that's not happening. And so there are like plagiarism. One can detect this, but not all publishing houses have started doing that. It's still very nascent. One of the first panels that I did on AI, I read up on a art competition, a very, very high profile art competition in the US, where this guy kept hinting, this artist kept hinting at something, and there were layers of the competition, went through layers, and this guy's painting was selected as the best, was awarded. And at the award ceremony, he said, guys, I've given you so much to mull over these 6 weeks that you have been going over. And this is not even my creation. It is you have awarded something that's been created by AI. And I wanted this forum to expose your understanding of what AI can do.
yeah, I agree, because I think regulations are very important for this purpose. Even if you look at the game of chess, Deep Blue, the computer, defeated Garry Kasparov in their second match, the rematch. And to win chess, you need creativity. It's not just pure. You have to use creativity, and you have to use a mixture of creativity and strategy to win the game. But then, if you are a human being and you use artificial intelligence to win the game, then it becomes a bit unethical. So I believe that should definitely be declared. And also, everything I said was for the sake of argument. I don't actually believe.
But okay, so my question for the panel, and we'll go one by one. Do you envision a future collaboration between human beings, writers, editors, and AI tools which can enhance the overall quality of your manuscript? Yes, it's for the panel.
Right. And now, in terms of creative artists, It's not only the inspiration will come from reading a tract from artificial intelligence. Creative artists have always had an inspirational icon in some way or the other. We think in terms of the muse, as we call it. And much later, people think in terms of the Ouija board, the planchette. There is always this sort of an invisible power which seems to generate response in a particular author or a particular creative artist. And there, I think, as Udamshi told us this morning, that human intelligence generated artificial intelligence. We cannot say that artificial intelligence dropped from the skies and has been intruding into our lives. So the human element cannot be entirely discarded. And of course, the uniqueness of the author becomes very, very important in terms of not only a sort of extremely averaging, as that poem of yours that you read. And now, in my great self-conceit, I will read a poem of mine which I don't think artificial intelligence will ever be able to match. Okay? So, this poem is intended for youngsters because Sita is always mourned and groaned about. This is millennial Sita, intended for all of you. So, what sort of Sita is this? Sita wanted to fly to Dubai. Sita wanted to gamble in Las Vegas. Sita wanted to spend nights in Paris. Sita wanted a bungalow in Luton's Delhi. Sita was an engaged, desiring subject. When dreams and desires were deleted, Sita trailed behind the commander-in-chief. Sita cooked meals for brothers and others. Sita loved mutton biryani and murg masalam. The brothers and others loved paneer and sambar. The brothers and others munched every leaf and fruit, ate everything that grew on trees and under the ground. Sita dreamt, salivated, fantasized. Alas, the elusive mutton biryani and murg masalam behaved as incorrigibly as the coy, elusive, golden deer. Sita was not in chains. Sita was not encaged. Sita was bound within. Invisible borders, barricades, and speed breakers, lines of control more dense than lines in graph sheets. Sita was confused. The books she read were freedom songs. The life she led, rigorous imprisonment lifelong. Millennial Sita's degrees surrendered to the decrees of others. Others, mothers, fathers, brothers were everywhere. In Dubai, Las Vegas, Paris, Luton's Delhi. Others, mothers, fathers, brothers wagged their fingers from their patriarchal towers. Millennial Sita did not dive into the arms of the ravaged planet Earth. Millennial Sita zipped up the spacesuit and left for the planet Mars. Dr. Valentina, and I'm sure artificial intelligence is now, but the
Not yet.
We'll have to feed it into ChatGPT and Chandni can try tonight.
Yeah. I'll send you by tonight. I'll try and send Sita, Mars, and a few prompts like that.
Artificial intelligence cannot write a poem without the word tapestry in it.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to, Shantanu, since you've seen so many AI-generated manuscripts, I've actually chosen a portion of Dr. Banerjee's book, which is called Script Your Life Your Way. And I might put this to the audience as well, because there's an original and there's a ChatGPT, and you're going to have to tell me who wrote who. And don't insult the writer, so choose your answer carefully. Shantanu, you might also have to. So this is from a portion which is called Courage. What is courage? Courage is the strength to confront fear, adversity, or uncertainty with bravery and resilience. It is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it, driven by deeply held values or convictions. Courage empowers individuals to face challenges, take risks, and stand up for what is right, even in the face of opposition or personal risk. Option 2. What is courage? I remember reading that courage is a psychological muscle, an unusual take, but one that made sense. It is to do with the mind and how we decide to handle situations such as adversity, intimidation, danger, uncertainty, risks, suffering, grief, fear, letting go of habits, addictions, admitting to a wrong, persevering in the face of failure, standing firm with a moral conviction, and so on. Shantanu, option A or option B? Which one do you think was the original?
That giveaway in the first sentence in option B. I remember. The first one did not have any personal tone to it. If I'm not mistaken, that's the original. Because the book that I was referring to is a book dealing with mental health issues, and it has no personal anecdote coming from the author. It's just a treatise on what aspect. So the moment you say "I remember," one gets a sense that from the character.
So it's always evident when it's been written by a robot.
Yeah, but
Robotic
that's to make up if I were given that tapestry.
Oh, the poem, yes.
Thing. Now that you say tapestry, I keep a lookout for that word in all the poems. But otherwise, I wouldn't have. I'm having difficulties finding, differentiating between what comes in, particularly with poetry. It's very, very touchy.
So, any concluding thoughts on how you think AI?
Really wish away AI. I mean, it's there to stay. So how do we sort of take it forward in a way that we don't vanquish human beings, human creativity, and yet get the best out of AI? So we would ask, one of the questions you asked was whether it could be used in editing or in that process maybe, but it can't be only that, because there may be words that author has created, or there will be personal nuances that come in. And so you use it maybe because there could be human errors in proofreading and in the syntax or whatever. So maybe to that extent one can use it, but always there has to be the final look has to be from the human.
Yes.
The personal aspect.
I think it's scary because right from Arthur Clarke in 2001 to Roald Dahl, they have used characters, AI characters, and it hasn't ended well for human beings. And as far as editing and translating are concerned, you look up this Google Translate or something for a film like Naya Daur, and the translation shows up as new turn. Like you are in trouble.
So I think we'll leave this panel with the question to write or not to write using ChatGPT. Thank you. The moderator might have used ChatGPT to ask some questions. I put my spin to it, you could tell. Yes.
Nowadays, you get to see most of you people use Facebook. Nowadays, everybody uses Facebook. Now there are ads coming in. Within 2 months, I have published 2 books. Okay, you can the publishers are coming and helping them. Don't you think this AI will come and more publishers will get into the market? And just because, as you said, our editors take time to review the book and the language and everything. And this might change, the publisher will increase, and with the help of AI, the editing will happen and the quality will get down.
You're writing.
It's the advertisement, we get to see it in the Facebook and everything. So that is it.
So I'm appalled that there are ads going out saying that I published 2 books in 2 months. Over.
Now you're given an editor nightmares.
Yeah,
for the rest of the month.
I am totally like, I think
Yeah, the
No,
market
like
is
it's the times have changed. When I first joined publishing, as Ramona will know, we had a 9 month schedule for a book. Like from the time we got the manuscript to the time of it got published was a 9 month schedule. Now, of course, that 9 months has come down to about 4 months, at the max, because authors are also very. But two books in 2 months, I think it's time to move out.
Yeah, and it's not about quantity, it is about quality.
No, that's what I'm saying it. So there will be some published houses also.
Yeah.
No,
Of course,
and-
not just Facebook ads that say 2 months. There are authors, established authors who are churning out books in, delivering books in 3 months. How is that possible?
Yes,
Like what
that's what-
quality? And then they expect it to be out in a month and a half time. Like now, for example, the elections are happening anytime. And the amount of books that are being generated for the elections, people have not even started writing, and they want the books out before the election results are out, so that they can say we predicted or we said this. Obviously, quality is going to be.
And who is the publisher is also important here. Yes, just publishing is not enough. So nowadays we have all these startup publishing houses. So you have to also see who is publishing, whether there has been copy editing done, whether there has been some review, some evaluation, some review report, and whether there has been some corrections suggested. Those are very crucial. 9 months of my own experience with Sage and also with other publishing houses like Orient Black Swan. It has taken more than a year to really put the book across on the public domain.
My question to all the panelists is that what is your opinion on this Japanese author, Rai Muran, who wrote an award-winning novel, The Tokyo, Taro Sympathy, and then later on, after getting the award, she admitted to having used ChatGPT. Do you think the award should have been taken away from her, or was she authorized to have received it? Or what do you think? As a concept, even if you don't know the example, what do you think?
I don't think the jury panel would be so honest and so, because it's really the jury panel's inability to really figure out that it was something that was manufactured by artificial intelligence rather than a product of human intelligence. How far? And I really don't think it would be very honest of the jury panel later on to take the award back. But it is at the same time very interesting that the person becomes so professional. Yes? As if you are saying that, well, and almost challenging human intelligence by saying, see, you don't have a clue about what you're reading and what you're understanding, and yet you are saying that, well, human intelligence is so much more superior than artificial intelligence. And you are not intelligent enough to understand, separate the brain from the techno.
Even if the award is taken away, she would have made lots of money, from the controversy. And what I see of publishing and writing these days,
Any publicity is good publicity.
any publicity is good publicity as long as the book is selling and the money is coming in. Awards, who cares?
On that note, then, we end this panel. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
There's also felicitation of panelists.
खड़ा कर ली
I think that was a session, and also Rudrakshu, Dr. Mukherjee's keynote put Chat GP very firmly in its place, and I think Nikhilesh put again Chat GPT firmly in its proper place. I think they deserve a fair round of applause.
महादेव शम्भो शिव शङ्कर महादेव शम्भो
फुल